Okay guys, welcome to my review of everyone's favorite crazy show, The Following. This week was really kind of like all about Joe kind of like getting his followers involved in his plan. And so we see him have this like gathering of his followers where he basically tells him like, I want to hear what you want. Like, I want to hear your ideas. I want to hear how you want to write your own chapter. So you get that each of them has been kind of like thinking about this, which is not good for the good guys. Now, the exciting news about this episode is we get to catch up with two of my favorite followers, and that is Jacob and Paul, who we haven't seen for 2 weeks, basically. We get that they're at some sort of vacation home, so you see this lady coming to a vacation home, and she's got groceries and things, but when she gets there, she sees there's like dirty dishes in the sink, and so she starts to get a little worried, and all I kept thinking was, oh my gosh, they broke into a vacation home type of thing, but it turns out that it's Jacob's mom. So he broke into his own family's vacation home. And it's like a super like big house, so we obviously get that Jacob comes from a well-off type of family. Now Paul is not well, you know, Jacob's mom's a nurse. She doesn't call the police, right? She takes a look at him, at Paul, at his like stab wound, and basically tells Jacob, look, he's gonna die. You need to get him to a hospital. He's got an infection. But Paul doesn't want to go to the hospital. And there's this kind of struggle, and then eventually Jacob's mom tells him, like, your dad's coming. And as soon as she says it, you totally get that Jacob obviously does not have a good relationship with his dad. And mom tells him, look, when your dad gets here, he's gonna call the police, so you need to leave. Now, back in the big house of crazy, right, you know, Joe's kind of given this kind of directive to all his followers, and one of them, named Amanda, who's really nervous, comes in to have her like one-on-one with Joe, and she tells him that she wants her chapter to have a happy ending. And you get that it's somehow connected, what she wants to do is somehow connected with Joe's wife, with Claire. And you also get that he really wants Claire to be there, and more I'm getting that it's not just because he has this kind of like, I don't know, like fantasy view of his family, like he's got his son there, his wife should be there too. But in a twisted kind of way, I do think that Joe still loves his wife, which is just kind of creepy crazy. So he calls Ryan on the phone, and they have this little conversation, but you get that he's just dropping clues, and he tells Ryan, like, love hurts, Ryan, or something like that. And then next thing you know, we see this crazy lady, Amanda, show up at, like, a random diner, and she kills this woman, like, with like a whaling harpoon or some crazy like weapon. And before she kills her, she tells the friend, tell Ryan Hardy when he gets here that love hurts. Make sure you tell him that. So of course Ryan shows up, and they're trying to figure out what's going on when they realize that the woman that was killed, her name is Claire Matthews, which is Joe's wife. Like, Matthews was her maiden name. So yeah, eventually they realize that someone's out there killing people with the name Claire Matthews, and so they're in this rush to try to protect people. One other woman gets tossed out the window because she just opens her door, and I was just like, oh woman, are you an idiot? Like, so she gets thrown out the window, and you know, the last kind of big chase scene, there's a girl at a carnival who's with someone, and she's with a friend who finally is just like, oh my gosh, what's your last name? And the police are looking for you, and because somebody's killing people named Claire Matthews, and then all of a sudden, you know, crazy Amanda shows up, and there's like a big chase, and there's a showdown because eventually she finds this Claire, and Ryan shows up with everybody else, and he manages to talk her down. Like, she's gonna do it. Like, and it turns out that Amanda's background is like, she killed her like husband and the woman that he was cheating on her with. And so, you know, she has this problem with cheaters. And so she goes on this whole like tirade against Ryan about how he cheated and all this stuff, which I find kind of fascinating if we think about the fact that, you know, Joe slept with Emma in the last episode, but Amanda doesn't realize that, of course. And the fact that, you know, when Ryan and Claire were together, it was after she was divorced, so technically they weren't cheating, but, you know, crazy Amanda doesn't want to hear that. And she's got like a nail gun she's gonna like shoot this girl in the head with, but again, yeah, Ryan's able to talk her down, and they end up capturing her and saving this girl. And really throughout the episode, Ryan is trying to think of what Joe is doing. What's the point of this? And he really believes that it's to draw Claire out. That if Claire knew what was happening, if she knew that people were dying because of her, that she would kind of, you know, sacrifice herself. She would totally, like, offer herself up. But they make sure that she, you know, can't watch the news or anything like that so that she doesn't know. At the end of the episode, though, Roderick does manage to find out where they're holding Claire. So I'm getting that in next week's episode, we're going to see them go to the safe house to try to kidnap her. So creepy. I must admit, you know, like, obviously, you know, I don't want them to capture her. But there's a part of me that would really love to see the dynamic in the house. You know, if Claire does get captured and brought back to the house, especially now that Joe slept with Emma, and Emma has this whole, you know, like, she already worships this man, and I think she's got this idea in her mind that she's better for him, and so, yeah, to see that dynamic, I think would be very interesting, because I wouldn't put it past Emma to, you know, try to slice her way to the top by killing Claire. Now, back to Jacob and Paul in the house. They literally wait until like 5 minutes before Jacob's dad gets there. You know, his mom is like, your dad's gonna be here in 5 minutes. You need to leave. And so he tries to grab Paul to get him to go, and Paul is just like, no, like, you owe me, right? And there's a flashback where we see the moment when Paul realizes that Jacob hasn't killed anybody. So Emma, like, sends them out to kill this person. Like, she sends Paul out to kill this person because she's really kind of testing him. She sends Jacob with them because she thinks that Jacob's killed someone. She doesn't realize he hasn't. And so Paul, like, kills this girl, and Jacob is just traumatized. And that's when Paul, you know, starts to put two and two together and realizes that Jacob hasn't ever killed anyone, and it's just like, I'll keep your secret, like, you owe me. And so in that moment when he tells him you owe me, he basically tells him to kill him. So another, like, sacrifice myself. And I really liked Paul more than I liked Jacob. But, you know, Paul's dead now, basically, because he does the whole, I want my life to mean something. I want my life to have meaning. So this is that. You owe me. Kill me. And so he smothers him. And so Jacob finally has killed someone. And he killed Paul, this man that he probably was in love with. Now, the other thing that happens is he somehow uses the laptop to email Roderick, and so Roderick finds out that Jacob and Paul have been basically trying to find out what they're supposed to do next. And at one point in the episode, it was fantastic, this, like, showdown between Roderick and Emma, where he goes to Emma, who's been lying the whole time, and telling Joe, like, I don't know where they're at, they haven't called. And so Roderick goes to Emma and is just like, I listened to your cell phone messages, and there are, over and over, there's these messages from Jacob asking, you know, where you're at and why you left them, and telling you that he loves you. Like, why are you trying to get rid of them? You know, he basically tells her, like, I know what you're doing. And so Roderick, yeah, at the end of the episode, he has responded to Jacob's email, told him where to come, and sure enough, yeah, Jacob shows up, and it was so, I love the scene when he goes to Emma, like Roderick does, and is like, I need you to come downstairs, and she comes downstairs, and Jacob is just standing there, and he's like, hi, Emma. And, I mean, you just know there's a lot going on there. Yeah, you guys, another crazy episode of The Following, basically, this week. Excited for next week to see if they manage to get Claire, or if Ryan manages to save her, so, yeah. Guess we will see then. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I will see you again soon. Bye.